Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It has been a minute, and excited to be doing some stuff here again on the channel. Returned back from New Zealand and Japan probably about a month ago, and since that time I've been teaching a little bit of summer school, and it's been kind of interesting getting back into the swing of things in Canada. But after a month, starting to figure things out. Don't mind the new haircut. I tried to fix it and get it right, and it just wasn't happening, and I accepted that. That's fine. We're just gonna roll with it anyways. Purpose of today's video is we are going to be talking about Dehancer, which is a plugin that you can buy for most of your video editing software. If we're looking at DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, and this has become a very popular plugin. A lot of people are using this, especially on social media, to get that film look. Now, Dehancer reached out to me back in December to make a video for them, and initially I was a little bit hesitant because I don't have that many subscribers. I don't have that many people watching the video, so I was a little suspicious of it at first. I didn't know if it was real, but after being in touch with the team, it was very much real, and they just wanted me to try out the product, talk about it, and run through a little bit of a review on my opinions and some things that I like and maybe even don't like about the product. So Dehancer did give me a limited license to review the product and talk about it, but this is not a paid endorsement. They're not telling me what to say or what to do. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna look at a video that I put up on Instagram Reels a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago now, where it was a few short clips of Wanaka, New Zealand, before I went into showing off a few of my photos. And this look actually was achieved in part by color grading myself and in part by using Dehancer. I keep looking at the hair and it's not great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the video for you really quick, and then we're gonna go through and talk about how we can achieve a similar look using the plugin. Now, it's worth mentioning that I'm still a beginner when it comes to color grading, and I don't really have everything figured out. My DaVinci Resolve is a little bit of a mess. And so if you're watching this video and you're a professional colorist, or you are very good at video editing and you know what you're doing, this video is probably not for you. If you're someone who's kind of just experimenting with getting into color grading and you really want to use Dehancer, you think it'll help your videos, this might be for you if you're more of a beginner, because I myself am still a beginner and I'm just playing around with buttons and seeing what works. So it's very much not a professional review of this product. All right, so let's watch the video. Let's get into it really quick. Okay, so that's it. Just a few clips. I think we have 3 clips totaling of 14 seconds, and that's all we're gonna tackle today because we wanna try and figure out how we can get the best look for those clips possible. The great thing about the clips that I've chosen is that the day that I was shooting, the scenery was just absolutely stunning. We had very vibrant oranges, some really vibrant blues in the shadows as well. So it's really, really easy to work with. This is not difficult video by any means. The second clip is a little bit overexposed, and so we're gonna see what we can do with that. But generally, when we look at this footage, we can see some really, really bright colors, which we like. So for our purposes today, what I'm showing you right now on DaVinci is actually my color grading before using Dehancer. Okay, so I've done a little bit in terms of the adjustments here. You can see on the primary one that I have here, my primary adjustment node, I've got a little bit in the highlights that have changed. I've lifted the exposure a touch. So if I wanna go down a little bit, there we go. So we have a little bit lower on the exposure, but I kinda liked it a little overexposed. I thought it kind of represented the vibe better. And I've done a few touch-ups in the balance. Okay, I think I've made it just a little bit warmer, so a little bit cooler. You can see all the greens and everything popping there. But if we go to the 100 there, that's about where I want it. If I want to go warmer, I could, but I think it removes a lot of the blues that I really like in the background in the mountains. Okay, so we're gonna keep that for now. So what we actually want to do, I'm going to go over to saturation really quick just so you can see. I've made a few saturation adjustments in the gain. So I've increased the blues here. So if I knock those down, it gets a little bit more green. I've increased the blues because I really like what it does to the mountains in the background. And then I've decreased the reds in the gain. So if I bring those back up, again, a little bit more saturation. If I bring those back down, little less saturation in those oranges. And the reason for that is because when I actually go to implement my plugin for Dehancer, things are gonna change really quickly, okay? Your node tree may not look like this. I straight up ripped this one off from YouTube. I forget which YouTuber I took this from, but I really like it and it works for me. I went through quite a few that I didn't understand. This one makes sense to me. So what we're gonna do is we have all of our main adjustments here. So in 1, 2, and 3, and I'm not gonna touch those to add my plugin. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna go up to my number 7, okay, because this is after all my masking, all of my bass adjustments and everything. And then I'm gonna go to effects, and if I scroll all the way to the bottom, I'll see Dehancer Pro 7.3.1. We're gonna put that one on there, and you can see immediately there's a lot going on here. Okay, it immediately makes this green. We do not like this look at all. What I'm gonna do very first is I'm actually gonna go to the film grain and I'm gonna disable that, just because off the top, it really distorts our image, okay? You can see it on screen there. It's not looking nice. We're just gonna get rid of it for now so we can clean up the actual look of the image. Now, Kodak Vision 3 250D is a great film stock. We've got quite a few that we can choose from here. So if we go through, you'll see things like your Cinestill 50D, which actually looks quite nice. We could do Cinestill 800T, which still looks pretty nice, even though it is a tungsten film stock. Still looking good in the daylight. We've got a bunch of Fuji ones, which of course I'm partial to if you watched any videos on this channel. Maybe look at Fuji Color Pro. Nice, but not really great for the oranges that we want. Maybe we can go to, what about Ektar? A little too green, we don't like that one as much. Portra 160, pretty good. And let's just try 2 more. Let's go Portra 400, a classic. Okay, fantastic there, I really like that. Let's actually go back to our 50D. Let's try the Vision 3 really quick. I like the Vision 3, but maybe, I really like that Cinestill. Okay, we're gonna go back to that Cinestill 50D. Okay, because what this does is it keeps our oranges, but it doesn't take away too much from them, and our blues are still intact. They've got that kind of, not quite teal, but pretty close. We really like that color, so we're gonna keep that. And just so you can see what the base grade would look like, just with including that Cinestill 50D, if I turn it off, you can see that we have quite an orange image here. Okay, there's not really much other color than that orange and a little bit of yellow. If I pop this on again, it's starting to accentuate our blues a little bit more and taking away from our oranges. There's a few adjustments that we probably want to make here, but in general, we like the look. So if we go very first to our input, we can see that we have different sources in terms of what the actual, the codec of the video is. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't understand this, and this is just from my own lack of knowledge. So Rec 709, I recognize, I think I've converted my footage to that, and so we're gonna keep Rec 709. What we could do off the top is we can go for something like our exposure compensation. So if I really wanted to darken this image a little bit, I could do that here. Now, I don't want to play with this too much because again, I've already done my base grading in my primary node. So I could adjust it a little bit. Let's say I want to make it a touch more orange, and I do. Okay, we're gonna go maybe 6.4. Again, let's turn that off. So we're recovering the oranges a little bit, still a little too blue, but we're gonna keep it. Tint compensation, we're gonna actually pull that, I think, a little bit to the purples. So left is green and purple, magenta is gonna be to the right. So we're gonna pull a little bit to the right just to balance out the image a little bit more. Okay, great. So we've done a little bit of our input and adjustments there, and we have our film enabled. If we want to push or pull the film, for example, let's say it was a 50D and we wanted to make it look like we shot it at 100. Okay, we could maybe pull that down a little bit here. So let's go, I don't know. I kind of like how it's looking there. So if we're pushing the film, the equivalent of, shooting it at 100 or shooting it at 200, whatever that might be, we can see that obviously we get a much brighter image, okay? But what it does is it does take some saturation out of those colors. So maybe we want to go back towards the right, and we can see that the oranges pop a little bit more. I actually kind of like that. So we're gonna pull it and we're gonna put it at about 0.496, okay? I don't know what equivalent that would be in the film stock, but again, if we take a look, good, we've got some good adjustments on the image here. In general, you can see that we have our oranges still kind of intact here, but we're accentuating those blues a little bit more. So I really like how this is looking. If we go into our film developer drop down here, we've got a little bit of adjustment in contrast, gamma, color separation, those sorts of things. So if I want to add some more contrast, I can do that here. Now it's important that I have to enable that. I probably should have done that to begin with. So let's say I really wanted to add contrast here. I can do that there. So let's, you know what? I kind of like an added contrast here. I think it's a little too soft. So if we go maybe 8.3, I kind of like that. Gamma correction, I think we're doing okay there. So we're actually just gonna leave that at 0. And color separation, I'm not gonna touch because I don't really know what it does. So not gonna touch that. Color boost, if we wanted to, we could boost that color. Maybe that would look nice actually, just doing a little bit, pop those oranges a little bit more. We can do that. Again, let's look at it with Dehancer versus the base grade. Again, base grade looks good, but I'm liking the way that all the colors are accentuated here. If we adjust it to how we wanted the actual printed image to look if we were printing this, we could do that. So linear is the default. If we go on film log, obviously that goes to log footage so it flattens it out. We don't want that. Print film, that's a nice image there. The Kodak, ooh, you know what? That's actually really nice. I like the way the oranges pop there. And the Endura Glossy, that's a little bit too dark for us. Let's go back to linear. Then we're gonna pop to Kodak print film. You know what? I really like that Kodak print film. Now it does take away from that blue, but we can fix that in our base grade. So I'm gonna keep that on the print film, that's really nice. And then color head, if we wanted to adjust some things here, we could do that. So our blues I mentioned, we could take a look at those. So we'd wanna go to our enabled, obviously first to do that. And if I wanted to pull my blues just a little bit, I could do that here. So we're just gonna add a little bit of that back in. Our greens and our magentas, we don't wanna take away too much, but I do wanna add those blues back in. Okay, so if I disable this, you can see it's quite orange. And then if I enable it, you can see we've kind of added those back in. Now we will want to increase our saturation for our orange again. So I am kind of messing it up a little bit, but that's okay. In terms of the other colors, we're feeling all right. Maybe we'll just do a quick little pop there of the red. Okay, so we got a little bit more of that color. Again, original grade, and here's our Dehancer. So looking good. Okay, film grain, we can add that back in, but as you can see here, it's way too much. We have way too much film grain. We don't want that much because it just looks not good. Okay, so we're gonna go down, maybe put that at like a, I don't know, maybe even like a 2.8. Okay, just a bit of film grain. I don't know if you can see it on the screen here, but nice clean image here. And then if I enable that, we just got a bit of film grain. Okay, so if we were to go back through and watch it back, it would look a little grainy, but it wouldn't be too bad, okay? So now we're getting to the last few things that we could change here. And so we've got our bloom, we have our halation. I like halation, I think it's fun. We're gonna just look at how much it actually changes our image. I think the answer is not too much because our highlights are pretty much everywhere. So you don't really notice it unless the highlights are basically confined to one area. So we're just gonna put a little bit of halation, 35, okay? We like that, sure. And if we just scroll through our image here, it's looking pretty good, okay? Looking film-esque. And if I take off my effects there, we can see that it looks pretty good. Put them back on. Yeah, I'm liking how that looks. And I like the base grade too, to be honest with you. I think both are quite good, but we really like that, that film look right now, so we're gonna lean into that. So if we go down a little bit more to bloom, now I like the bloom. A lot of colorists and professional people will make fun of people who just over bloom everything, which is a completely fair critique to have. But I think for our purposes, I really like the look. So we're going to just lean into it a little bit more. And if I focus on, you can see the lady in white here, because a lot of the highlights are on the white dress here. So if I look at the amplification here, and I go all the way down to 0, it's there a little bit. And if I pump it up all the way to 100, you can see that there's quite a bit of bloom there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we wanna find a sweet spot because we don't wanna overdo it, but it is a nice look for us. So maybe somewhere right in the middle, like 58.7, I think that's good. Okay, so 58.7, we like that. If we kind of scroll through, we mostly notice that bloom on her dress, okay? So that's a nice little addition, I think. Film breath, let's take a look here. Let's see if it does anything. So I'm gonna watch my footage back really quick. Now, I'm on a MacBook Air, so it doesn't render the greatest when we have all these things working against us. So if I watch it quickly there, and if I add in the film breath, we can just see the image moving a little bit more. The exposure's shifting. Okay, so exposure's going a little bit overexposed, a little bit underexposed, so that film breath is what it would call it. Overscan, we could do something with overscan here if we really wanted to. So this would be how it's actually developed. And again, if I wanted to go in and mess with my, my exposure, I'm gonna make sure I have it enabled first. Okay, so let's say that I like this the little box look here. Okay, so it's giving it a crop, and we're a fan of that. I think we like that, actually. That's a surprise one. But we're gonna keep that, because I like how it kind of crops everything in here. The exposure, you know what? We like those little lines on the side. So if it was an actual 35mm film that we were shooting, we could make it look like that. Yeah, let's lean into it. Sure, why not? It's kind of a fun little look. I think probably the exposure is a little too high on that, because if we put it at full, that's what it would look like, and that's a little too cheesy. But if we had it just faintly on the side, I don't know if I hate that. Let's keep it. Lens zoom. So if we wanted to, we could actually change how much of the frame we're getting in here. I kind of liked what we had going here, so we're just gonna keep that zoom in quite a bit. And offset, we're going to roll with what we have so far. It's a little cheesy, we're overdoing it a little bit here, okay, if we're being honest with ourselves, but it does suit the vibe, so let's roll with it. Okay, we really like this one, and so what we're gonna do really, really quick is we're just going to make a quick still that we like that. Okay, so when we go to our next clip, what I can do is, again, I have a really, really nice clip here. I can apply the grade that we have here, and then it'll transfer everything over, okay? Now, the only downside to that is it does kind of mess up our base grade on our footage here. So I really quickly want to just adjust what I've actually done here, because I think this is too blown out. So I'm just gonna drop our exposure quite a bit. Okay, if I just take this off, you can see what the original footage looks like. If I just take off all of my adjustments, that's what it'll look like with my, my LUT applied. But generally, okay, way too golden, way too overexposed. You don't really have any of the details. So I really want to adjust that to bring a little bit more detail back, pull the shadows a bit. Okay, and we like that a lot better. Again, I'm not a professional colorist. I really have no idea what I'm doing. So we're just rolling with it. Okay, so if we pop our effects on and what we have with our 50D, I actually quite like that. Okay, that gives us quite a vintage feel. So if I were to play through it really quick, it looks like something that would be filmed on an old 35mm camera. And you know what? I don't really want to touch that too much. I think that fits the vibe really nicely. And we're gonna do the exact same to this footage here. Okay, so when I apply this one's way too overexposed. Okay, so it still looks good, but way too overexposed. I'm gonna go back to my primary and just adjust that down just a touch. Okay, so it still has a little bit of overexposure, which we're okay with, but we don't really like that it is kind of blowing things out. Okay, we wanna keep a little bit of that detail. Again, if I take the effects off here and I look at it, this is nice footage, I like it. It's a little too green in the original color grade, but if I look at it here, I like that. I think it looks good. One thing I might wanna do is I might just wanna go over really quick and just change my position. I think we want a little bit more of me in the frame. Okay, so that when I go back to my color tab, okay, if I were to watch this footage again, it's gonna be a little slow, but I've got me still in the frame. Okay, I'm still a major part of it, but we can see that the line of the lake and the mountains are the focus. Okay, but we really like this look. And to be honest with you folks, I actually really like how this has turned out, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the color grade on screen of everything that we did today, and then I'm gonna show you what the original footage looks like. So without Dehancer, without using it. To be honest with you, this is something that I've been trying to achieve for a long time, and for this purpose I think Dehancer is great. Now, I have been trying to get into more, I guess, serious color grading, and I think that Dehancer can be a useful tool as long as you're not leaning too much into the parts of it that are more meant for people who are just beginner creators and trying to go for that film vibe. A lot of the trends on Reels and everything right now are making things look more vintage, making them look cool, and I think you can definitely achieve that with Dehancer. But if you just want to go for a regular color grade, you want a nice clean image, you don't need it to be successful, and I think that's the entire point. It's a great tool to help you achieve that film look, to help you achieve that vibe, that old school, nostalgic kind of vibe, but it's really not necessary for a regular day-to-day color grade if you're just grading professional footage. One thing worth mentioning too, and I'm gonna put this up on screen once I can figure out how to record my phone, is that there is also a Dehancer app, which is really cool. Let's say you're taking some footage of just your regular day-to-day and you wanted to have that more of that film vibe, right? The mobile app is actually a really handy tool to make some quick adjustments and to fix things on the fly. Let's say that your color grade in DaVinci Resolve, for example, was pretty good, but when you get it to your phone, something's not quite right. You can tweak it in the app as well. I just really like this program. I think it's really, really nice. If you're a beginner filmmaker, if you're beginning in videography like I am, this could be really, really helpful to achieving that look. And I think otherwise it's kind of hard, especially in tools like DaVinci Resolve. They're very hard to get your head around, and without having different plugins and help from a lot of different YouTubers and things like that, I would never have figured out the node tree, let alone figured out how to make my footage look like it does in Dehancer. So really great program for beginners. I think if you're a professional, you probably stray away from it, but that's totally okay. So anyways, thank you for putting up with my haircut. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna pretend like I tried to do something with it today, but I got up out of bed, I made a coffee, and we're making the video. So that's what happened there. Thanks to Dehancer once again for letting me try out the product, and I really hope you enjoy the video. I hope it's helpful, and I hope it gives you some good insight into what Dehancer is like. Take care. Cheers. Hello, me from the future here. So really quick editing, and just noticed that the video that we actually came out with here, I'm not as happy with it as the original one that I put at the beginning of the video. I thought that the one that we did for the video, that I went all the way through and recorded, it's definitely the best showcase of what the plugin can do, of what Dehancer is capable of, but it's definitely the cheesiest. I think, using all the features, making it look as old school as possible. I don't think it's an actual best color grade that we could have done. I think that the one that I put at the beginning is way better. So if you wanted to see more of what it's capable of what it can actually do for you in terms of a day-to-day color grade, I think that the one at the beginning is the best one. And then the one that we did for the video is a good display of the features. So I just wanted to clear that up so that I'm not insane. I really hope my audio is recording. It is, that's great. So that you don't think I'm crazy and think that that was a really good color grade. I think I could have done much better, but I am not reshooting a 30 to 40 minute video. So anyways, just clearing that up. That's all. Take care.